Hey guys, so today I wanted to talk to you about compatibility. So as of today, there are thousands of Steam Deck verified games. If you don't know, Steam Verified is Valve's compatibility program where they are reviewing games and giving them a compatibility rating. So at a glance, you can see how well your games are going to perform. Now, this takes into consideration controller support, it takes into consideration resolution, compatibility, so no errors. Also, if the game has a launcher, does that work on the Steam Deck? And also, more importantly, does it work on Proton? Now, if you don't know, Steam Deck uses the Linux operating system. However, most games are developed to work with Windows. So that's the reason Proton exists. Put simply, Proton is the compatibility layer between the two operating systems, enabling Windows games to run on Linux. So that's fantastic, right? Great. However, it's not always 100% guaranteed to work, and that's why the Steam Verified program exists. But if you watch any of my videos, you'll actually know that many of the games which are either haven't been reviewed by Valve or they are down as unsupported actually do work, and a lot of the time they work straight out the box. No configuration required. Well, how can that be? Well, first of all, Valve doesn't have the resources to test every single game in the Steam library. That would be virtually impossible. And this is where the power of this community, of the gaming community, shines through, because someone out there probably already has tested it and maybe figured out how to get it to work. There are several versions of Proton. We have older versions of Proton, and we also have newer experimental versions of Proton. So it may be, to get a particular game to work, you may need to change the compatibility settings so that it runs in a specific version of Proton. So that sounds great, right? You've tested the game, you know how to get it working. However, there isn't a way in which you can submit that report to Valve. They don't actually have a way in which you can submit reports. This is where the ProtonDB website comes in, because this is a community crowdsourced website where other gaming users can actually submit these compatibility reports. And this is why ProtonDB will become your new best friend, because you can go to ProtonDB, search for a game, and then quickly be able to make a decision if you're going to purchase this game, or if you already have the game and are struggling to get it to work. You can go to ProtonDB and hopefully then you'll figure out what you need to do to get it to work. So let's jump over to ProtonDB. Now, when we log into ProtonDB for the first time on a desktop, you'll get this nice graphic and it gives you some really good numbers here. So if we look over here, we can see Deck Verified. We have about 2,500 verified games currently, and we have about 6,500 verified or playable. Those are fantastic numbers. However, there are thousands of more games on Steam that probably do work. And if you look here below, games on ProtonDB, you can see there's over 15,000 games that have been recommended by someone. So over double the amount of games. Now, if we just look in this graphic in the center, if I switch this over to be top 1,000 games, so top 1,000 games, according to Steam Verified status, 38% are either playable or verified. But if we switch over to the medals, which is ProtonDB's ranking system, 69% are platinum and gold. Don't just rely on the Deck Verified status. Go to ProtonDB and check here, because you'll probably find a game which is either unsupported or untested probably does already work, particularly if it's a popular game. So over in the top left, we can actually search for our game. So I'm going to search for my favorite game, Nier Automata. So straight away, what jumps out is the platinum badge, which means runs perfectly out of the box. Fantastic, and I can agree with that because from my experience, it works flawlessly. And then we have Nier Replicant, which is gold. I haven't played this one yet, but this one apparently works with a few tweaks. Great. So let's click into Nier Automata, and you can actually see the Deck Verified status here is playable. So great, probably not the best example here, but you can actually see people discussing ways to improve performance, what they recommend. Let's just think of another one. So Shank is a game I covered on a video. Now here you can see they're awaiting further reports, so not enough people have submitted this. But if I click in, someone's added a comment. I think it has to have probably 2 or 3 at least before it will show up. But one person said it runs perfectly. And let's just look for one more. Sonic Frontiers. So this is gold, runs perfectly after a few tweaks. Again, we've got the playable status here, and then you get all the comments. Something that's really cool is you can actually have the ProtonDB badge status show up in your games library against all of your games, so you can quickly see which ones are compatible and which are not. This is fantastic, and now you do that by using plugins. Click here if you want to know how to do that.